No! No, it's not enough! You don't hate me enough. Even after the FNAF AR video, people are still being so nice to me and I cannot handle it. So this time, I'm gonna make sure you hate me once and for all, because today, I'm ranking all the FNAF games, something that could not possibly go wrong. Now, keep in mind, this is my opinion. You can have your completely different opinions, and it's perfectly fine with me. I'll only silently judge you. But in the meantime, allow me to discuss what I believe to be the best and the worst FNAF games, because believe it or not, I don't think they're all good. Which one do I think is the worst one? Well, I already kind of mentioned this in the last video. Well, actually, I'm not entirely sure if it was the last video. It might have been a while ago. I don't know when I upload these. But that's not the point. The point is, my least favorite game in the series is FNAF AR. Now, I'm not going to get too in detail about it because I did make another video on this, which I keep mentioning. So I'm not going to go too in detail about it. Basically, I just don't think there's enough variety in the animatronics. I think they're all pretty much the same. And it's not nearly as cool as they were, making it look like it was. What companies make their products look better than they actually are? Shocker. So that's my least favorite. But for these other ones, I'll be talking a little bit more in-depth about why I don't like them and why I do like them. But this is the only game in the series that I really just don't like. And even FNAF AR is not by any means a bad game. But enough talking. Let's talk... Wait, no. Enough talking about this. Let's talk about my second least favorite. FNAF 2! Now, I know there's a lot of die-hard fans of FNAF 2 out there, and I totally get that, and to be honest, I used to dislike it a lot more than I do now. It's actually grown on me over the years, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But the point is, it's still definitely my least favorite out of the original games. Why, you ask? Well, all the original games kind of had their own identity. 1 was the original, 3 was set in an actual horror attraction, not just a normal pizzeria. 4 was set in a bedroom, and it had, just overly terrifying animatronics. I don't know what Scott was thinking, but I love it. And 2, well, it did have new animatronics. I mean, the toys were great. They kept that same kind of subtle creepiness as the originals. The main reason I like Five Nights at Freddy's is because it has this subtle, creepy vibe to it. Half the time it isn't in-your-face scary, half the time there's just something off-putting about the designs of these things. But then the second game also had just some generically creepy animatronics, which I also like. It needs some of that as well. So, I really like the variety of characters in this game. I just feel like, all in all, the game itself was too similar to the original. But, that being said, I don't think it was a bad idea to release another game so quickly. See, when a game gets really popular, it's often easy for it to kind of disappear into the shadows after the original hype is gone, and that could have easily happened with this series. After the first game, if he hadn't made another one soon enough, it probably would have just descended into shadows. But that's not what happened, so FNAF 2 is probably what managed to keep the series going, and for that I will always have respect for it, and I would not mind playing it again. My next one is only one later in the series, and also probably a controversial one, FNAF 3. FNAF 3 is when things started to get, just actually creepy. And believe it or not, this used to be my favorite game in this series. That was around the time that we only had, I think, Sister Location, so we didn't have nearly as many games as we have now, but this game also still holds a special place in my heart. And the jump scares aren't exactly, well, intense. Some of them are, but the ending jump scare, and a lot of people have complained about this, is just a bit too... I don't know, I mean, Springtrap basically just struts over to you and says, hey there, and then, the game ends. I don't know, not my favorite. 2, the gameplay is a bit more confusing than in past games. It's not always clear what you're supposed to do, and especially when you're trying to find the secret minigames. I mean, I would like to personally meet the person who figured out that you can type a code into the wall tiles, and I'd just like to shake their hand and say, you are a genius, because how was anyone supposed to figure that out? I don't know. But all in all, again, still a good game. What's next on our list? Remember Pizzeria Simulator? This game also used to be my favorite. As you can tell, I can never have a definitive idea on what I like in the series and what I don't. And I still do love this game. Again, don't get me wrong. I love the fact that it had two huge plot twists at the very beginning of the game. I mean, we all kind of expected there was going to be something under the surface when that 8-bit minigame showed up, and sure enough, it started glitching out, and we meet Circus Baby again, now called Scrap Baby. But that wasn't it. As if that wasn't surprising enough, then we go to an actual pizzeria simulator. Yes, you're actually simulating a pizzeria in this game, which was a second big plot twist. It could have just been a scary game, but it still had just some fun, casual elements to it. I think this is probably one of the most unique games in the series, for sure. None of the other games have really done something this unique, to be honest. So, what holds it down? Well, it does seem ever so slightly rushed, and I mean ever so slightly. But again, not a bad game, and it's almost entirely, in my opinion, perfect. Really, I can't think of much that is actually concretely bad about this game, and that's going to continue with probably the rest of this list. So, what's next on our list? FNAF 4. What I loved most about the main games, and all the games really, is their subtle creepiness, and I mentioned this before. The models just have a very distinct, uncanny valley-esque look to them, which I love. But FNAF 4 throws that all out the window and just gives you, like, absolutely horrifying animatronics with way too many teeth. I think Scott went way overboard with this one. I still like it, obviously, as I'm gonna keep saying with each of these games, but I don't know, I just feel like I liked the original style better. But I do love how he finally switched things up and we weren't just in a building again, we were in a, an actual house, which definitely adds to the creep factor, and I love how he utilized sound very much in this game. In past games, sound was definitely a big factor, but in this game, it's integral to actually surviving the night, which I love. It's a very unique idea. The problem I have with this game is the lore. This is where the lore started to go, absolutely insane. And unless you believe everything MatPat says always, you know that this game is where things started to get very confusing. And many people still don't agree on all aspects of this game. Who was the bite victim? Who was psychic friend Fredbear? What happened here? Just many questions that we don't have the answers to this day. Hopefully the Fazbear Fright series will answer this, though. I have some audiobooks of them on my channel if you want to check them out. Shameless self-promotion is awesome. But now, it's time for the one you've all been waiting for. FNAF 1, the original, the OG. While I no longer believe this one is the best in the series, it's certainly a very good one. It's the one that had that classic original formula, and of course the one that kind of set the series in motion. I don't want to talk about it for too long because there's so many people who have just gone really in detail about what makes this game great, so I'll leave it at that. But the formula, it just ended up working really well, whether Scott intended it to or not. How many games are left? 2 games, and if you've been paying attention, you know which game is the last one. But before we get to that one, the grand finale of sorts, I'd like to talk about Sister Location. This is the game that made sure this series is not going anywhere anytime soon. The series was getting kind of stagnant. We'd had 4 games which, sure, were different, but they all kind of were the same at the same time. We were always in one room, watching different areas to check and make sure no one showed up. Sister Location really changed things up, though. For once, we were actually moving around an entire building. We had actual voice acting. Actual story without having to be explained through confusing minigames. This is, in my opinion, still the second best game in the franchise, and I love it to bits. And just in case the main game went a little too far from the traditional Five Nights at Freddy's formula, there is an optional DLC, which comes with an awesome custom night that is much more similar to what fans know and love. And for our number 1 spot, the final one on our list, FNAF VR. Now this one, again, having your own opinions is good, but I think that this one is arguably at least better than FNAF 1, 2, and 3. The reason for that is, well, it has FNAF 1, 2, or 3 in this. Say that FNAF 1 is still your favorite in the series. Okay, well this game has FNAF 1 in it, all of it, except for the custom night and night 6. What does it also have? It has bonus modes for FNAF 1 that make it extra creepy. It has a whole bunch of new mini-games. It also has the next 2 games in the series, optional DLC, improved graphics, VR compatibility, whole ton of new mini-games and old modes from the past. It's just arguably better. This game had so much new and so much old to remember by. And in my opinion, it'll always be the best game in the franchise, unless somehow Steel Wool tops this with Security Breach, but I doubt that. Now, if only I had a VR headset so I could play it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I have to say this because I'm a YouTuber, it's in the contract. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys soon. I have some good ideas for videos soon. See you soon. Bye-bye. Wait, we forgot Ultimate Custom Night. No!